Welcome to another episode of Build Tough Banter. I'm Lexi.
And I'm Danny.
Today we have Kevin Hall from Atlas Roofing. Kevin, we just want to hear a little bit about your background and how you got, started with Atlas and to where you are today.
Wow. Well, it's a long time. I'm an old man. No, years ago, I was in the truss industry for many years, about 15, 16 years, engineered wood. Kind of found my way in the independent world and then ended up with Atlas. Been pushing Atlas now for about 5.5 years. And it's an amazing product, and it's been a good ride at this point.
Yeah. So how long has Atlas been in business? Give us a little bit of background on Atlas as a company overall.
Atlas has been in the business for 40 years. It's in this day and time, you have a lot of companies that's been in business for 150, 100 years, but Atlas has been around for 40 years and they've done a heck of a job. And they're growing, as Danny knows. We're coming on strong and we're making a big wave currently with some great products.
Awesome. And then, with those great products, what sets Atlas apart? We're here to hear people that don't know anything about Atlas. What is Atlas and what is the, big separator between you guys and other, shingle suppliers?
Oh, wow, the list is long.
Not a bad thing.
No, it's not. Look, all shingle manufacturers are amazing in their own ways, right? Mm-hmm. We feel that we have some differentiators that completely make us the best. Not that anyone other's bad, we're just better. And we love to sit down and show people why. But some of the reasons is, we have a format of a makeup of our shingle called HP42 technology. And it basically is the design of the shingle, how it's made. It's 42 inches long versus 39 3/8 for all other competitors, most competitors. It's got a true 1.5 inch common bond between your head lap and your lower shim. It's got a true 6-inch exposure in comparison to 5 5/8. Scotch Guard by 3M. That Scotch Guard protector by 3M is huge. Mm-hmm. Scotch Guard has been huge for us our success in the past 15 years.
Yeah, what do they say with Scotch Guard? You can't be in a room and pick out less than 3 items in that room that's made or involves 3M engineering.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure my glasses are made.
Yeah, that's 3M. For sure.
Yeah.
Even when I was 2 summers ago, I went to Italy. There was a thing with 3M in the shower, and I was just laughing when I was in there because I was like, this stuff is everywhere. It's crazy.
Truly is. Truly is.
It's the partnership, and I know we'll get into it because that's what makes and sets Atlas apart. The beauty of Atlas to me is the advantages on the install, which is the HP42, which you got into, and we'll dive into that. But then also from the homeowner perspective with offering the Scotch Guard.
Mm-hmm. To your point, Danny, you're right. This product does benefit both the roofer contractor and the homeowner. This is it's a great product. It's something I don't really sell. It sells itself. I find myself in these roles of educating. So I kind of see myself as an educator, and I leave it up to the folks that are listening to decide whether or not they want to buy it or not. It's their money, right?
Yeah.
But I really enjoy showing how mine's better. And 8 times out of 10, I win. So
not a bad ratio,
yeah. You'll be in the Hall of Fame for that.
Exactly. But, we can jump right into the HP42 technology if you like.
Yeah, so when you talk HP42, this is more from an install perspective and the benefits of installing the shingle.
That's correct.
Where the Scotch Guard is more on the other side and what benets the homeowner.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, tell us about the HP42.
Sure. The HP42, there's a lot of different things with this that makes the simplicity of installation much more evident. Everything's kind of based on 6-inch increments throughout this shingle. Your 42 inches, your 6-inch exposure. It makes it simple. But anyway, this is our 6-inch zero waste 7-course start with no waste. If you start out with a full shingle at the bottom, and then you cut 6, 12, 18 off your next 3 courses and then reuse that. That gives you an actual 7-course start with 0 waste.
So as opposed to other manufacturers that are having to cut and then throw those shingles, off the roof,
That's correct.
resulting in a 5, 6, 7%
That's correct.
waste factor. This right here prevents or eliminates the waste factor, and you can have a 0 waste start as you work your way up the roof.
That's correct. And then at the end of it, if you're used to using a 12% waste factor, you might get away with an 8. Well, that's 4%. Add that up over a year.
Oh yeah.
So it could definitely make a big difference at the end of the year in your balance sheet.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
But moving along with the HP42 technology, the common bond is probably one of the most important parts of this shingle, if you ask me, in the makeup. That's a full 1.5 inch common bond between the headlap and the lower shim. Okay.
Yep.
Now everybody else in this business, and they're all great products, but everybody's anywhere between 5/8 to 3/4. Okay.
Gotcha.
So when that's where you want your nail, right?
Right.
So if your nail is actually going through both laminates of your shingle, that gives you your longevity on that roof. You ever been driving down the road before and you look up at a house and see this one little shingle hanging out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what happens. With this shingle, you're able to get that nail through both laminates, not having to worry about missing it.
So I hear quite a bit from installers on, when there comes a warranty issue, that's the high nail. Everybody's familiar with the high nail.
Mm-hmm.
Does the larger overlap prevent or make it less of an option or less opportunity to high nail a shingle and void that warranty?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. It's really hard to miss this. I always say to customers, sometimes I'll say, you're either really drunk or blind to miss
To
this.
miss that, yeah.
It's got to be one or the other.
Yeah.
So note to all, don't hire a drunk roofer or a blind roofer. Right?
Right,
Good, all
right.
right?
Good start.
That's right.
Yeah. Great.
But all these other companies are great in what they do, but unfortunately, none of them match up to this.
Gotcha.
For them.
Interesting.
So it definitely keeps that shingle on there longer. And another thing about the HP42 technology, if you notice, on top of the shingle is a double sealant line. Okay, there's 32 points of contact along the top of that shingle. Now, everyone else out there, and again, it's my job to make sure I show you and explain to you the differences in our product versus everyone else, right? So you can make that decision. But if you look, everybody else's sealant lines are on the back of their shingle.
Gotcha.
This is on the top. So when that next shingle comes down to seal, it's sealing to the smooth side of the mat.
As opposed to it being.
As opposed to it sealing to granules.
Okay. Gotcha.
Follow me?
Yep.
So again, creating a very quick, tight seal on your roof. I got a customer up in, well, I ain't gonna say where it's at, but nevertheless, he called me up and said, dude, your shingle's too good. I'm like, it can't be too good. He's like, it is. He had a repair to do on a roof. He goes up to take a few shingles off to fix the roof, maybe for an add-on, whatever.
Yeah.
He had to tear off like 10-foot section.
Yeah,
Because they were all sealed.
apart.
You couldn't
Yeah.
get them apart.
Yeah, that's great.
So I'm like, that's fantastic testimony, right?
Yeah.
Right.
For my product. So yeah, it's that's a big part of this shingle and the design because there's no other like it. Okay, and underneath each one of these dragon teeth, which is where it comes down on the reveal of your shingle, we have four sealant lines underneath each one of those horizontally, which really helps us in the following statement. We get 130 mile an hour wind rating with a 4-nail application. That's tough to reach, okay? Everyone else is going to be 5 and 6 nails to get to that 130. Otherwise, it's 110, right?
Gotcha.
130 mile an hour wind rating with 4-nail application.
So not only with the bigger shingle are you having to nail less shingles, but you also are using less nails and taking less time on the install
That's correct.
process.
That's correct.
Saving all around, it seems like.
Well, 8 less shingles to the square is what it comes out to be. So think of that. On a 40 square roof.
Which is your average
Sure.
roof, especially in eastern North Carolina, that 35, 40 square. Okay.
That's 320 less shingles you're touching and applying. That's 6,400 fewer nails, fewer penetrations in the roof deck itself. So it adds up, and it really shows its face on commercial applications.
Got you.
I just done a job down in Tennessee at 2,250 square. Do the math. It's 18,000 less shingles on that project.
Wow.
You know, they called me up and they said, "Hey, we need another truck quick," because they had ran out.
Got done faster than they
So,
thought.
man, they got some great crews out there. I'm like, stop. I'm sure the crews are great, but let's do the math on this.
Yeah,
Have another reason why you need shingles quicker.
exactly.
So it's a ton of great stuff about this shingle that really shows differently than any others.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into the Scotchgard now, just to hear a little bit about it and the technology behind it as well.
Sure. That picture on the screen is a fantastic demo. If you look to the left, that's a split roof, right? That is an actual house in Florida.
That's a real house?
That's a real house in
Okay.
Florida. Older lady has that home, and I think it's still like that today.
Okay.
She gets a lot of notoriety. So
Yeah.
she don't want to change it. But if you notice to the left there, that roof boot, and right underneath that roof boot, you see where it's still clean, let's say,
Yeah.
and everywhere else has that black, blue-green algae growing on it. Well, right underneath that roof boot is kind of the explanation of where Scotchgard came from. When water meets metal on a roof, it creates an ionic reaction that prevents the growth of algae. Okay, so you got to start from the beginning to stop it from happening. So water has met that metal there, and it's kind of rolled off the roof, and it's prevented the growth of algae. So what 3M done years ago, 25 years plus, they decided to figure out how much copper mineral do we need to put in our shingle to prevent this algae from growing anywhere. Okay, so they figured it out. They tested it for many years and figured out it needs to be 10% of the granules have to be copper. And what it is, it's a copper coated granule.
So every speck on here is what you would call a granule.
10% of this. Yeah, every speck is a granule,
And
yes.
then 10% of that is a copper-coated granule.
That's correct.
Got you.
That's correct. That's what gives us the 100% non-prorated warranty for the entire life of the shingle against black streaks that no one else in this area can offer.
I think you need to say that one more time because that's a strong, that's a bold
strong,
statement.
and it truly is 100% non-prorated for the entire life of the shingle.
For no black algae
No
streak.
black, no blue-green algae, no black streaks.
And no one wants that on their house.
No one. Because great segue. Think about that. Stuff starts growing in about 3 to 7 years, depending on where you're at, right? So what are you going to do if you're home in the next 15 years? The average home sale in the nation is 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you think you're going to do when someone goes to sell their house and you have algae on it?
You have to replace that roof.
Replace the roof.
It looks old, yeah.
So why have to negotiate $20,000 off your roof when you can just invest minimal now with our product, 3M Scotchgard Protector, and not ever have to worry about it?
Yes, it's a good point to bring up, especially in eastern North Carolina where we're getting such an influx of people moving to this area and people selling, and houses, going right now are double what they were, 5-6 years ago. But I can speak to that firsthand. I bought a house, new construction, already built. I put Atlas on my newest house. But when I bought this house, it was a different brand and a very reputable brand. But on the north side of every house in my neighborhood, the black algae streak started.
Yeah.
Big time.
And the back of my house looked perfect. The front of my house looked like it was 15 years old and it was 6 years old.
Yeah.
And and I live north of Raleigh, and there's some trees around, and and I know it doesn't hit every neighborhood the same, but it
Sure.
hit mine. And people were replacing their roofs, 10 years in, just because all the roofs look like that picture there.
That's
and
correct.
it was and it had all the algae. So when I built my new house, I made daggone sure to put a pristine Pinnacle Atlas roof that
Yes.
looks the same 2 years in, 5 years, 10 years in, for the life of that shingle.
That's right. That's right. And, 3M, they studied this, like I said, for 25 plus years. We've been in it for about 15 with them. As
Yeah,
we
the
go
partnership
the
between-
partnership between us and 3M. But years of performance, I guess, is what that boils down to. 25 plus years of proven performance that this works.
Yeah.
3M's a large company, as we talked before. They're not going to put their name on this and it not work. So it's their warranty. We carry it.
How many issues do you know of that where there have been the blue-green algae, the black streaking on the Pinnacle shingles?
I love this question. And I wish I could answer it a little sometimes differently, but we've never had, in 15 years, we've never had a legitimate claim on blue-green algae. That's millions of squares. Okay?
That's amazing.
Yes, it is. That's a big, bold statement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I expected to hear at least a few.
Yeah.
Well, and that, and sometimes could be more believable, right?
Yeah.
I've had 2 out of millions.
Yeah.
Right. But in fact, we've had 0.
Wow.
So the science doesn't lie when it comes to
correct.
blue-green algae on shingles.
That's correct.
What can homeowners do to, for maintenance with their shingles to help the longevity, whether it's the Pristine or the Pro-Lam?
Always be proactive. Well, if you live under trees, you're going to have leaves that fall in the fall, right? So if you have a valley, clean it out. Don't let them sit there. It'll stain your roof because we don't cover that.
Right.
So maintenance, upkeep, things like that goes a long way. And you mentioned Pro-Lam. Fantastic product too. We've been talking about Pinnacle Pristine.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because the bulk of our sales, and it depends on the market, and it's not just regional from Southeast United States compared to the western part of the United States. I'm talking from one of our locations to the next, 45 miles apart, is very regional in the stores that where Atlas, it's a Pro-Lam dominant market, which is it's more of our price point shingle, but it does offer everything the Pinnacle Pristine has, except the Scotch Guard.
That's correct.
But how does it hold up against algae growth comparisons to other brands that don't have the Scotch Guard either? Does it?
And it's your typical other brand, and when it comes to the algae,
Okay.
it's a 10-year algae warranty, prorating it like year 3. There's all different steps in those. Okay, I'm so focused on Pinnacle Pristine all the time, you sometimes forget.
We don't. We don't.
But yeah, it's it's your typical 10-year
on the algae.
on the algae.
And is that what you would find in other manufacturers or
Yes.
offer from an
Yes.
algae perspective?
That's correct. Now there is some out there that have offered additional years with modifications in their processes, but there's only one that is 100% non-prorated for the life of the shingle, and that's Pinnacle Pristine Scotch Guard by 3M.
Yeah.
The others, you may hear 25-year, but the fine print will tell you it starts prorating at year 10. Okay? 10 years versus the life of the shingle is a big difference. Big difference. So to have that ability to know that you're not going to get the streaks on your roof that your neighbor has goes a long way. And back to that roofer again. This is a huge benefit for the roofer too, not only the homeowner, but that roofer can sit down at that kitchen table with Mrs. Jones when he's trying to sell that roof or propose the new roof.
Yep.
And when he can sit there and say to Mrs. Jones, look out your window. See your neighbor's house? It's got black streaks. So it's a huge selling tool, educational tool to help homeowners make that decision on what they want to use.
I love that you use the word to educate and educational because I feel like that's what I was most excited about having you here today to talk about the shingles is, there's other brands out there and there's some brands that probably more shingles are sold nationwide than Atlas.
Yes.
There's some brands out there that spend a lot more money themselves advertising, where I feel like getting the word out and spreading the word, at least to our market in Eastern North Carolina, on you have the two different levels with the Pro-Lam, that's lifetime warranty, 130 miles an hour. But then you also have that level up that I don't think is as well known as it should be or needs to be, and hopefully will be, after today, for our listeners and for our customers. But to be able to guarantee that roof's going to look the same year 10 as it did the day it goes on, from a blue-green algae, the black streak standpoint, I don't think that can be, overstated on how important that is. And we'll take the money that you guys save in the market and roll that into the better price point that we can offer your shingle at. Because I know you're not having to factor that in,
Right.
So we're okay with you guys not advertising it as much as we can pass that savings on,
Sure.
to our customer. But this is a shingle that we can go to market price point wise, and then also have that upgrade ability.
Yes.
And if I was a roofer, that's how I'd go to the market.
Of course.
Price point, Pro-Lam, and the upgraded Pinnacle. And if I'm a homeowner, as I am, and as I made the decision and build my house, no chance I'm leaving for a couple $100 difference, not putting a pristine Pinnacle, on
That's
my
correct.
house.
That's correct.
On a $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 roof, however much it costs, depending on the size of the house, for $300 to $400 difference to be a deciding factor. I think that's a no-brainer over the lifetime of that
It's a
shingle.
no-brainer.
Not at all.
No-brainer.
One thing that, from a homeowner perspective, that we'd like to somewhat ask is, what are some signs or indicate that a roof could be nearing the end of its life, or can a repair be made, or at what point does a full roof replacement need to be made?
Well, obviously, I'm not a fan of repairs. I want to sell the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
You just got to keep a close eye on stuff. I've seen roofs, not been on them, but I've seen some roofs to where you can literally see the fiberglass mat under that. They've had so much granular loss. So that's one thing you want to look for, as a homeowner, is pay attention to stuff like if you have storms, check for damage, things like that.
You said Atlas has been around for 40-ish years.
That's correct.
The best I can remember is, as long as I've worked at Builders Discount Center, which started in middle school, we've sold Atlas shingles. I believe we were one of the first stocking dealer of Atlas in North Carolina, or at least in Eastern North Carolina, and that's been a partnership that's evolved. We have a very strong focus on being the best price, and not cheap, but having the lowest price, best price in the market. And I think Atlas kind of offered that to us when you guys came in. But it's been, what type of partnership can you kind of speak to that we've had together, and as your company's grown and kind of evolved over the years, so have we. We started with all discount materials, and now we have all A-grade materials with at the best price in town. Not so much from a discount material anymore. Our discount in our name now is A-grade materials at a better price, not discount materials.
I think you just said it best. I don't think I can do any better than what you just said. Since you were a boy, we've been around, you've been around. We've had a partnership, a relationship. You guys have been there from the get-go, and we much appreciate your business.
Yeah.
You guys do a ton of work with us, and it's very valuable and greatly, greatly appreciated.
Well, when I'm trying to sell and meeting with roofers and different customers or homeowners, when I'm in the stores, it's one thing when you want to sell and you need to sell. It's another thing when you believe in the product you're selling.
Correct.
And it's easy for me to point someone in the direction of Atlas when it stood the test of time within our relationship. And of course, there's going to always be something went wrong here, something went wrong there, but being able to fix it, being willing to fix it, being able to work with us.
Oh yeah.
And fixing issues, I think is important. But I've seen the transformation as we've kind of morphed into who we are. Atlas went from that price point shingle to now offering, in my opinion, with the Scotch Guard and
That's
the pristine, the best best feature in the entire shingle market.
I couldn't agree more. We have evolved in that manner. You said it perfect. You know, you go back and look 16, 18 years ago, completely different company today.
Yeah, and I tell people who try Atlas shingles, well, I put some on 8, 10 years ago and this and that. I'm like, it's a whole different. The HP 42 completely changed the game for you guys from a install and quality perspective. And just because things were like they were years ago or decades ago doesn't mean that's how they are.
That's correct.
How they are now, and I think that speaks to both.
It does, and I'm I've been here a short time, and
Yeah.
I've watched things evolve.
Yeah.
Our VP of sales is a young man, full of energy, and it shows in our company. That culture.
Infectious.
Yes, and it's quite fun to watch as an old man.
Be easy on what's old these days.
Just speaking on Atlas, evolving over the years and growing and becoming innovative, what are some of the new products that you guys have that are, new and exciting to the market that you'd like to share?
Awesome. That's great. We've got an extensive relationship with 3M, as you can see. But 3M's always coming up with a new creative ideas and ways to make our products even better. So they recently, last year, come out with what we have it called Pinnacle Sun. And what that is not only does the shingle have the Scotchgard on it, but it also has solar reflective granules. It reflects upwards of 20% of the radiant heat that would transfer into the attic space otherwise.
Wow.
Okay. And in addition to that, 3M has created a smog reducing granule that's on this same shingle.
Explain that to me. Then.
Yeah, what that is that the granules actually absorb carbon out of the air. When it rains, it releases into your gutter, down your downspout as a nitrate, a fertilizer. Therefore, like the bottom of your downspout will be nice and green.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So this is how they push that. The life of the roof is equivalent to planting 2 trees.
On what it saves and absorbs.
Yeah, it absorbs, taking carbon out of the air.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really big in the cities where you have the big issues with smog.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. But in addition to that, I failed to mention this before, but the Pinnacle Pristine and the Pinnacle Sun are both Class 3 IR shingles, impact resistant.
So speak to what, at the Class 3 level, what is that providing that?
The Class 3, what that does is you have Class 3, Class 4, right?
Okay.
Class 3 is a little less than Class 4, but it's designed to withstand up to 1 3/4 hail impact. Now, we don't warranty that, but it's designed and tested third party for that. And we have attained that classification for that Pinnacle Pristine and Pinnacle Sun.
So
now it does helps your roofers. If, say, they're sitting at the kitchen table with Mrs. Jones and mentions the Class 3, she might just get a decrease in her homeowner's premium.
From it being a Class 3 shingle.
That's correct.
I think anyone living in Eastern North Carolina for the last several years and throughout my lifetime is expecting a hailstorm about once every week or two to be rolling through, early spring, and summer. So that speaks to the coverage that you guys can offer. But I think the most interesting part to me today is it's, people look up on a roof and it's shingles, but there's so many aspects that go into deciding the right shingle for a homeowner, and it's all different. It's not every homeowner's has or priority is the same. Some is the best, is most budget oriented. Some are maybe to prevent the black algae streaks that made their brand new roof look old in 5 years. Some might be reflecting and the sun or the heat transfer into the attic, and now you're speaking of for one roof equals 2 trees worth of minimizing the carbon footprint. So
that's correct.
So that's awesome. Is there anything else that we need to know about Atlas or the Atlas shingles that?
Oh, I can talk all day.
Yeah, I see that. You're quite the educator.
Yeah, I can talk all day. It's just there's so much about this product that we haven't even hit on. There's so many attributes that you can pick away, and you have to do it on your own terms. Get educated, then educate your customers, and then let them decide. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Is making sure everybody knows what they're getting.
All right, so going back to the Scotch Guard protector real quick, what steps do you guys take to, verify and make sure that that protectant is within your shingles?
Well, by shaking the hands of 3M on this, we have to meet what they have, put in place, that it takes 10% to meet the protectant that they require. So every day we get tested daily. There's 12 holes that's kind of punched out in this shingle and throughout the shingle. And then that gets put in an analyzer. And then that real-time data gets sent back, third party and 3M, to verify that we have got at least 10% copper in that shingle. Because if it goes out that door and we don't do that, it's not a good place to be for us.
So random shingles off the
That's
line
correct.
Being tested daily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once or twice a day.
If they hit that 10%, they're.
And what we do, we normally hit 11 to 13.
Gotcha.
Just to make sure we cover the required amount.
Yeah, better to have a little bit more than being on the
You
line.
better believe it. You better believe it.
I'm sure they believe that too.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, Kevin, we appreciate you coming in, speaking Atlas with us today. I've been a big fan. We've always sold Atlas Roofing, and we've sold 3 other main competitors of yours at the same time, and that's somewhat rotated through. But one thing that's been true is Builders Discount Center has sold Atlas Roofing for a long time, and it's been a partnership that has done well for us, and we've put on a lot of roofs together. But I believe educating our listeners on the benefits on the install side, as well as the homeowner who doesn't want black streaks. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough, that it's the best and only true lifetime warranty against preventing algae streaks. To me, it's a no-brainer.
That's right.
And when we have those conversations with our customers, you can see their light bulb go off,
That's right.
and it's a no-brainer for them too.
Yeah.
And that small upgrade from our Pro-Lam that is equivalent to what I would say other shingles in the market, which is a great shingle, but then you upgrade that to that Scotch Guard,
right.
and it's a no-brainer. So thank you for letting us in a little bit on your product knowledge and enlightening us as well as our listeners, and we look forward to many more years selling Atlas shingles.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Build Tough Banter. Closing out from Lexi.
And Danny.
We'll see you next time.